Hello, everyone. This is El Viejo Toro with the Fancy Action Now, and this is the incredible PS5 release. Everybody is actually hemorrhaging. They are having aneurysms over this release information. Yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah. Okay. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's okay. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Okay? I'll even put my headset on. I don't know which one's right. Whatever, baby. Okay, so wow, a shocker. One manufacturer came out with their launch date and prices, and shortly thereafter, another one did too. What? Fourth quarter's right around the corner. When we're into October, it's the buying season, baby. Wow. Okay, I guess I'm being snarky on purpose, but it's like, and the prices are almost exactly the same. Shocker! The internet is broken. Sony PS5, exactly the same price if you're buying the disc version as the Xbox Series X. What? Who would have thunk? Are they actually in competition with each other, perhaps? Whatever. They're both losing money on the consoles. Everybody loses money on the consoles. Everybody's lost money in the consoles for like 5 generations. It's you make the money on the licensing of the games, and that's where the real money of the movie is made, in the merchandising. Okay, here we go. Enough of that snark. Get off the internet, Toro. You will love and respect the launch of the PS5. Can he be the one? But will it be hard to control? I think I've seen this before. It's like some architect's pipe dream that nobody can actually build, and the birds like shit on the white things that the maintenance staff can't get to. Look, they asked me to clean the bird shit off the white blades. They call them blades of the building, and I can't get the bird shit off. I told them I need a helicopter and $50,000, and they said if I don't get them clean with no extra money, that they're going to fire my cleaning service. I said go crazy. I'm not getting up there with a freaking rope and tackle. Okay, stop the presses. Now, wait a minute. You mean the disk drive version of the PS5 is also $500? Oh, wow. I just went Jacob's Ladder on that shit. Wow. That is not a surprise. They probably wanted to have that one up $100. But they didn't want to lose that many sales, because $100 in this economy, with especially in the United States, the reason, and I guarantee, if there was no lockdown, coronavirus, businesses and people out of work and all this other stuff, that would be $600. Yeah, I guarantee it. That was a marketing move to say, if you're getting a disc-based system, this is your price of entry. Doesn't matter. Instead of losing $300 on the console, it's like we'll lose $400 on a console, because essentially it's costing them about $1,000 to produce these when you think about it. It's like, again, it's a home entertainment PC. It's a low-end gaming PC. Really, what can you get a low-end gaming PC? $1,200, $1,100. Some even at the 1,000 mark with a low-end ATI or, some kind of, mobile chipset that'll play like, stuff at the low settings, I mean, it's like, that's going to run you $1,000, a low end gaming PC is going to run you $1,000. It's going to run you, between $1,000 and $1,200 for a low end gaming PC. And that's what it costs to make these bad boys. It's just about right. So they're losing about, $400, $500. They're losing about $500 per unit. But over the course of a console's lifespan, say 5 years, 7 years, they're going to make all that money out. I mean, they want the install base. And again, that's the thing. And the other thing, the reason this price is the same as the Xbox Series X is that Xbox coming out with their A game. They're coming out with their A game. They were limping into the marketplace last gen. I mean, that was the most jacked up launch of a console I ever done see. And and this launch is their best launch. Other than like the Halo 2 launch, this is their best launch overall. And that was a one-trick pony launch of Halo 2, and that's the one time they sold enough units to actually crack a profit. So, because the game and the system together, they actually broke. They actually moved past break even for like for that week. For that, for the week or two that was a launch item. Halo 2 was a launch game. They actually made some money on launch. Again, it's not. On the hardware, it's not a money-making proposition up front. It just isn't. Get over it. It doesn't, again, the price point is based on market demand and the current environment. And what they're saying is if Xbox is coming out hard, then we better be right at their same price point, because right now it might make the difference in the United States to families now. Like, families don't have the extra 100. They're buying groceries with that money, bro. They're trying to pay the mortgage with that money at this point. They're trying to pay a medical bill or some shit. Things are freaking tough as hell and tough as nails. So PS5 came out and they said, oh yeah, we'll match you. We'll match you. I guarantee that price dropped $100. At least. I certainly will say $100. That price was originally projected at $599. Guaranteed, but they dropped the price to launch to match the Xbox to say, you're not going to eat our lunch, you're not going to eat our market share, baby. No. The best-selling consoles of all time are now the same price as yours, baby. So they got a choice. Your Xbox Series X, and from the last generation, you were barely able to keep up at all. You were a third, or not even. I think you're less than a half of their total sales. I mean, you were dominated by us. So now they just have a choice they just have a brand choice. PlayStation came out and said, now you just have a brand choice, not a price choice. They took that away from Xbox, which was the right move. Now, are they going to lose from the MSRP? Are they going to lose another $100 per unit? Yeah, they're like, who cares? Who cares? We want the install base. We want the units, because that's where the real money is made. They're always going to lose money on the hardware, baby. I mean, that's a low-end gaming PC. So that thing is, they may be losing $1,000 a console. Let's say it's a mid-range gaming PC. Typically, it's a low-end or a mid-range gaming PC. What's a mid-range gaming PC going to run you? Somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000. So they're losing $1,000. If you say if you're like, oh, Toro, it's better than a low-end gaming PC. Okay, it's a mid-level gaming PC. So how much is a mid-level gaming PC? Then they're losing $1,000 at least per console. Think about that. Think about a loss leader where you lose $1,000 a unit. Ouch. But again, if they get into the majority of the households, they'll make that money back up. Year 2, baby, year 2. They're going to run in the red for like the first year. That was the problem with the PS3. It was so expensive, and the install base was low compared to all their other consoles, and the developers were pissed with it. So it's so essentially, they were in the red for the majority of that console's life until they got the really cheaper versions out there, and then they started making a little scratch, but they made money on the games. But again, it was probably a zero-sum gain on that whole generation for them. And Xbox dominated that generation for the most part. But here we go. Now let's take our eyes and turn our gaze to the digital edition, which is $399 or $100 above the Xbox. So Xbox already said they wanted to be the loss leader. They wanted to have the cheapest, they wanted to have the cheapest digital console. And they're only freaking competing with PS5, really. I mean, they're not competing with anybody else, really. Stadia, Nintendo's its own thing, So, I mean, they are competing with Switch. I mean, Switch really came in and like undercut whatever was left of the marketplace from Xbox. But the thing about what Xbox did, this is what happened, and I have to let you in on a little secret. PlayStation and Xbox talk about their prices and they talk about release. They coordinate it together. It's not an official thing. It can be, but they definitely have ambassadors that kind of go back and forth and discuss. And when they finally, right before they release, they'll give them a courtesy call. Like Spence will call over to Sony and say, Sony, we had a leak. Oops. A leak, right? Like a purposeful leak. Like Phil Spencer dropped the bucket on the internet. Come on, man. So, we had a leak. We got to go ahead and announce. I just want to let you know that we're going to go ahead and announce, and these are the price points. They have those conversations. The executives have those conversations. Just like HSN and QVC, they're TV retailers, and it's so incestuous. They're practically the same company. They trade employees, they trade buyers, they trade, and the merchandisers and the buyers and things like that. The show personalities and stuff like that. They have little conventions. They get together. It's so cozy and hugged up, man. And then it's like, oh, we're competing with them. This is $10 less than QVC because we live in an environment where you're supposed to be competitive, but it gets to be in like a very small industry. It gets to be real cozy, man. It gets to be real cozy. I guarantee Phil gave a call over to either Sony of America or Sony of Japan and spoke to his or her counterpart over there and just was like, yeah, we had that funny old leak, man. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and do this, but you know what we're going to do? We're going to go ahead and loss leader our digital version at $299. And they'll be like, well, we're going to drop our price of the disc-based unit to match your price. Okay, but are you going to let us have the low price on the digital version? Yeah, we're going to let you go ahead and have that. Since we both have two product offerings. Have you noticed that? It's just identical. It's just identical product launches. I mean, even their price announcement screens are near identical. Have you looked at them side by side? It's exactly the same. I mean, the marketing is exactly the same. It's like the one guy did both ads. He's just like, yeah, let me just put this logo over here. This logo over here, save mail. Boop. There you go, buddy. I'm going back to drinking, bro. So, it looks like the same graphic designer did their reveal page. I mean, it looks identical. They're both exactly the same types of offerings. I mean, it is so hugged up. It's unbelievable. So what PS5 did was they dropped their disc console $100 to match the Xbox Series X so they wouldn't lose on the what is going to be what they assume will sell the most. And you might surprise you. The digital consoles may outsell. That's a very good question. Now, the digital only, they don't want to take the big loss. See, that's the thing. They don't want to take the big loss on the discs. They don't want to take the loss on the digital system. They're taking the heavy loss on the disc-based system, and they're keeping a market price on the digital system. And the Xbox Series X is exactly the same price for a disc-based system, and then their digital system is the lower end. It's the domestic market, cheapest version anywhere. And they know, see, again, Sony knows it's not going to sell very well in Japan. It's not. They want to give, they're trying to say to Microsoft in a kind of friendly competition way, we're going to give you the loss leader in the domestic market. We're not going to come and undercut you in your own market. It's kind of an honorable thing to do. So if somebody wants a digital PS5, they've got to pony up the extra $100. That was a nice thing for Sony to do. They didn't have to do that. They could have dropped the price on the digital version to the same price and matched the Series S. They could have done that, but they didn't do that. They didn't do that by design. They just said, look, it's going to be a brand choice on the disc-based system, and you can have the loss leader because we've been the market leader for so goddamn long, and we know how many of these we're going to sell, whatever. They did that. Again, that was an industry agreement. They called up. It was a gentleman's agreement, gentlewoman's agreement. They called up. They discussed what they were going to launch. They discussed what their prices were, and they came to terms. They're like, well, we were originally going to launch this at $599, and you've launched yours at $499, or you intend to launch at $499. We'd like to match your price. Okay, well, that's fine, but we want to be the loss leader on the digital console. Okay, that's fine. We'll keep ours at $399. You make yours $299, and then you'll get the lion's share of your domestic market because nobody gives a shit about it in Japan. Do you think anybody in Japan is going to buy the Xbox Series S? Are you freaking serious? Yeah, there's going to be like 10 people, and they're probably exchange students from the United States. Okay, I mean they're going to sell like 10,000 units over there. Or some ridiculous number of units, or 9,000 units, or 5,000 units. I think the original Xbox sold something ridiculous like that in Japan. I'll have to look it up, but it sold 10,000 units or 12. It's just some ridiculously low number. It was just a curiosity. It was just for those hardcore, gotta have all consoles people like me. Anyway, congratulations. Congratulations, Sony. Fantastic. Your console still looks goofy. It still looks like some kind of avant-garde architectural nightmare that's impossible to maintain and bird shit all over it, and it's just a freaking nuisance in the landscape. But it is nice to see your system launch. It is nice to see that the price for the disc version, which is what I would want, is $5. Because eventually I will pony up that money, or I'm going to get the Xbox Series X first, but I'll pony up that money maybe when you do a summer sale or something like that. Maybe you'll drop the console and do a gold version for $399 or some shit, and then I'll jump in. But I'm not jumping in at launch, baby. Not this guy. But I like to see that the price is reasonable. And just for everybody out there who intends to buy one of those PS5s at launch, that is a low to mid-range gaming PC, just like the Xbox Series X, and you're getting it for about a third of the price. That's why consoles or home entertainment PCs are a good value. They really are. Especially if you're not into coding, you could search the web on them, watch movies. What do you want? For $5, that's a bargain. You play all your Blu-rays. You play your Kodak photo CDs of when you went to the Boy Scout overnighter, and then you have the digital edition for $4. I don't know who cares about that thing. I don't care. I'm not interested in that. Now the Xbox Series S for $300, yeah, that's a great deal. That's relatively painless to pick up at some point. I'm going to get the bigger console, but I may get the little console and just mount that shit in my hoopty and take my Xbox Series S on the road, baby. I'm going to convert a van and live in a van and have my Xbox Series S hooked up to a Samsung that like folds down from the van roof. Frickin' A right, baby. This is LVAO Toro Fancy Action Now for the game.